Hey everybody, it's Glenn, back in this video with Captain Phasma from both the Star Wars Black Series and Elite Series. Yep, it's more Captain Phasma in this video than you can shake a stick at. In fact, it's likely more Captain Phasma in this video than you'll find in The Force Awakens. Well, yes you can. I'd actually intended to do this much sooner, but frankly, after seeing The Force Awakens and the lackluster Phasma on screen, well, it sure sucked the wind out of my sails. Here we were all expecting her to be the new Boba Fett, but really she was. Yet unlike him, we are yet to spend 30 years imagining how awesome she is. Maybe she'll return and we'll be regaled with the amazing adventure of how she climbed out of that garbage chute? That was her fate come the end of episode 7, right? Anyway, I've regrouped, downed a can of sugar-free Red Bull, and I'm ready for the Hasbro Black Series Phasma to face off against a Disney Store exclusive Elite Series counterpart. You know how these things work. We take a look at Sculpt, Deco accessories, and articulation, then threaten to kill each other in the comments below over which is best. Now, the most immediate distinction is the difference in scale, with Hasbro's Black Series on the left being 6-inch scale, whereas the Elite Series on the right being more 7-inch scale. Beyond that, the differences between the two are much more subtle. In fact, without the benefit of them being side by side, the sculpts are so similar that... which one is this? Well, if you guessed Hasbro's Black Series, then award yourself a Glenn point. A subtle difference is the rendering of the capes. While both are vinyl, the surface texture of the Black Series one conveys more of a sense of the fibre of the fabric in the sculpt, whereas the Elite Series cloak is much more smooth. A bigger distinction you won't get from watching the video is one you need to hold them in your hands to realise, and that is that the Disney Store Elite Series are die-cast metal, whereas Hasbro's are plastic, so the Elite Phasma in hand is much more heavy. However, that does present a problem with displaying, with the weight making her much more top heavy. Not helped that despite the larger scale compared to the Black Series one, the legs are actually skinnier and the feet more narrow, only increasing the top heaviness. So if left standing on a display shelf, I wouldn't trust that she'd not take a dive off of it. But the Elite Series one, to its credit, does come with a display base, this same generic one with each of the Elite Series figures, and her right foot plugs into a peg on the base to help increase her stability for display. I'd say where they both fail in the Deco is neither capturing the real shiny chrome of Phasma's armour. Both seem to have used a standard silver paint. I'd have preferred them to have been vacuum metallized, which is the process that, if you're a certain age like me and remember the vintage C-3PO and Death Star droid figures, is how they were so shiny. I've heard Hasbro of late say vacuum metallizing is not environmentally friendly. If that's true, then it's a case of, do you want shiny action figures or an ozone layer? Ooh, that's a tough call. Shiny action figures. No, ozone layer, of course. But really, I mean shiny action figures. More differences to note is that on the Elite Phasma, this armor detail on the lower arm seems to be on the top, whereas on the Black Series one, that armor detail is facing in on both arms towards her body. I'm not sure which is correct. Then the hands are quite different, with the Elite one on the right having hands with more of an open gesture, making them look more naturalistic when not holding the blaster, whereas the hands of the Black Series one look designed just to hold the blaster. However, this distinction might mean the Elite Series one has a butter-fingered grip on her weapon, so let's find that out by taking a look at the blasters. Of course, to suit the larger scale, the Elite Phasma's blaster is longer. Seems to be a distinction between the Deco 2 with the Black Series one appearing more golden, but then the sculpts seem to be of the same level of detail. Except that the blaster that comes with the Elite Phasma actually has a trigger guard, which I'm pretty sure is not accurate, but its inclusion may be more functional, so that in spite of her more open gestured hand, you can wedge her trigger finger into the trigger guard, thus leading to a tighter grip. Now looking at articulation, and the heads of each rotate side to side, and they do both have some up and down movement of the head, not very much, and probably about the same really. Now the cape does inhibit some of the shoulder articulation, particularly on the left arm, but the arms do both rotate and then they hinge up this far, more so on the Black Series one. The eagle-eyed among you may have caught that ugly screw hole on the back of Phasma's arms. These screw holes have been the plague of this Elite Series, but fortunately Phasma's cape does hide most of hers. Both essentially have a single jointed elbow, and I wish the Black Series would adopt a double jointed one, but then at least it does also rotate at the elbow. And that does mean that unlike the Elite Series Phasma, she is able to hold her blaster with both hands. Important for me as that's a pose that seems to stick in my mind. Maybe that's how we first saw her in the Force Awakens trailer. Not that I watched it 100 times through tears of joy in my eyes. Then at the wrists, the hands of each are both able to rotate. Then additionally, Hasbro's Black Series also has a wrist hinge. The Elite Series on the right has waist rotation, whereas the Black Series one has a rotating diaphragm joint. Ooh, it's nicked the paint there. And then this diaphragm joint also moves slightly forwards and then this far back. At the hips, the legs move out to the side this far, the Elite one slightly more so, then they move to the front about the same amount and they both move slightly back. And then Hasbro's Black Series has upper leg rotation, then Black Series has a double jointed knee, whereas Elite's is single jointed. Then at the ankles, both have hinges, and then whereas the Elite Series one just rotates, Hasbro's Black Series has that ankle rocker pivot that I love. So, Black Series or Elite Series? Let me know what you think in the comments below, all things considered, and for me in this case, I go with Hasbro's Black Series. Had the Elite one nailed the chrome of the armor, I may have been persuaded. They after all had the advantage with it being die-cast, so that Hasbro can make their plastic look as metallic as the actual metal one is commendable. Generally I'd say I side with Sculpt and Deco over Articulation, but here with so little distinction in the Sculpt and Deco between the two, I'll side with Articulation. And it's hard for me to side against a figure with an ankle rocker. Unless that is you're a mint in package collector, in which case the packaging of the Elite one I think provides a better showcase for its figure, but who wants to keep things in package? What's the fun in that? Anyway, click this video for a similar Black Series versus Elite Series comparison with Kylo Ren, and I hope to see you all next time. Bye.